Have you ever really stopped and wondered what the genuine secret to attracting a woman is? And no, I'm not referring to the things that men typically assume matter most. In fact, I can assure you that the common assumptions are often the exact opposite of what truly creates attraction and deep connection. Today we're going to uncover a piece of wisdom that many women, especially those who have lived long and full lives into their 80s and beyond, deeply understand. Yet most men never take the time to recognize. This insight has the power to transform how you see yourself, how you take care of yourself, and ultimately how you build meaningful relationships. Let me share a story that profoundly changed my own perspective. A few years ago, I had the privilege of speaking with a remarkable woman, someone I like to call the grandmother of wisdom. She was 82 years old at the time, and when she spoke, she carried that unique clarity that only comes from decades of observing, experiencing, and reflecting on human relationships. In that conversation, she told me something that, at first, sounded almost too simple to be so powerful. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized she had uncovered a truth that many men completely overlook. She leaned in, smiled knowingly, and said, "Size doesn't matter. Personal care is everything." Those words stuck with me, not because they were catchy, but because they reflected the wisdom of someone who had seen it all. She wasn't speaking from theory or guesswork. She was speaking from lived experience. And she didn't just leave it at that. She explained with vivid clarity how men who pay attention to the details, who know how to care for themselves inside and out, naturally inspire admiration, respect, and desire in the women around them. That idea, so simple yet so overlooked, made me realize that attraction isn't built on superficial qualities. It's built on the way you value yourself and how you express that value through self-care and attentiveness. And here's the fascinating part. It isn't just wisdom passed down from elders. Modern research backs it up. For example, a study from New York University highlighted that older women, when asked what traits they found most attractive in a partner, consistently ranked self-care above nearly every physical characteristic. Think about that for a moment. Not muscles, not height, not size, but the way a man takes care of himself. That's the real game changer. So in today's discussion, I'm going to walk you through the practical wisdom that often only comes with age. I'll be debunking myths, sharing overlooked truths, and giving you a perspective that can reshape how you think about attraction. This isn't about gimmicks or quick tricks. It's about sustainable habits and attitudes that transform how you're perceived. And by the end of this, I promise you'll have a clearer understanding of what really matters when it comes to creating a lasting connection with your partner. Now, if you're here for the first time, welcome. This is a space where we talk openly and respectfully about the things that actually improve our quality of life: intimacy, relationships, and personal well-being. If you enjoy this conversation, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future discussions. With that said, let's dive right in. 1. The secret of attraction beyond size. When most men hear the secret of attraction, their minds immediately jump to one word: size. And let's be honest, that assumption has been repeated so many times in culture, media, and locker room talk that it feels like an undeniable truth. But here's where the wisdom of experience comes in, because size isn't what truly matters. What actually makes the difference is self-care. And I mean genuine, consistent, thoughtful self-care. For many women, attraction lies not in what's exaggerated, but in the subtle details. Think about hygiene, grooming, scent, and overall attentiveness to your body. This isn't about vanity. It's about showing that you value yourself enough to take care of yourself. Something as simple as smelling fresh or having well-maintained skin signals to a woman that you respect yourself, and by extension, respect her. These are the signals that resonate on a deeper level, far beyond anything superficial. Let's pause and consider one specific example: scent. Studies in psychology have consistently shown that smell is one of the strongest drivers of human attraction. It's not about drowning yourself in expensive cologne. In fact, many women prefer natural freshness over overpowering fragrances. What truly matters is the consistency of your care routine, using a good soap, keeping your skin clean, and maintaining that freshness throughout the day. When you do this, it doesn't just impact how others perceive you, it changes how you feel about yourself, which then affects the confidence you project outward. And as we age, this becomes even more important. After 50, for example, the skin becomes more sensitive and requires specific care. Ignoring these changes doesn't just affect your comfort, it affects how you're perceived. Something as simple as switching to a pH-balanced soap, moisturizing regularly, or grooming with intention shows that you understand your body's needs. It's not about perfection, it's about effort. And effort, trust me, is incredibly attractive. In fact, the grandmother of wisdom told me plainly, when a man takes the time to care for himself, even in the areas people don't always talk about, it shows us that he respects not only himself, but the relationship as well. And when you think about it, that makes perfect sense. Attraction is fueled by the signals you send, and personal care is one of the clearest signals of respect and attentiveness. So let's move beyond myths. It's not about being bigger, stronger, or younger. It's about how you present yourself, how you maintain yourself, and how you make others feel in your presence. And that starts with valuing your own body enough to care for it consistently. 2. Keeping everything in its place. Now that we've talked about general self-care, let's dive into a topic that's rarely discussed openly but is surprisingly important: comfort and care for your intimate areas. Yes, you heard that right. It might sound awkward at first, but this is one of those details that makes a bigger difference than most men realize. The grandmother of wisdom was very direct about this. She explained that women notice far more than men give them credit for, and that a man who cares for his entire body, including what's between his legs, shows a level of attentiveness that is both respectful and attractive. It's not about obsession, it's about awareness. Something as simple as choosing the right underwear can transform how you feel throughout the day. Tight, uncomfortable garments not only create irritation, but also lead to constant fidgeting and adjusting. And let's be honest, that's neither comfortable for you nor appealing to anyone watching. Instead, opt for breathable fabrics like cotton. Choose styles that provide support without restriction. Comfort isn't just a personal benefit. It translates into confidence, the way you move, and the way you carry yourself. And then there's hygiene, which might seem obvious, but is often neglected. Daily showers, thorough drying, and proper grooming are essential. It's not about being overly polished. It's about cleanliness, comfort, and respect. The grandmother put it best. You can't expect a woman to be drawn to you if you don't even take the time to make sure you're clean and comfortable yourself. Think of it this way. Personal care is like setting the stage. Before any meaningful connection can happen, the basics have to be in place. By keeping everything in order, comfortable, clean, and cared for, you not only improve your physical well-being, but also project an energy of self-respect that women deeply notice and appreciate. 3. Debunking the myth of shape and size. Now let's tackle one of the most persistent myths of all time: the idea that size is the ultimate measure of attraction. It's a belief that has caused countless men unnecessary anxiety, self-doubt, and insecurity. But the truth, as the grandmother of wisdom explained, is that size is nowhere near as important as society makes it out to be. She laughed when I brought it up, saying, "Honey, if only men knew how insignificant that worry really is." For her, and for many women she knew, average was not only perfectly fine, but often preferable. Why? Because what truly matters is comfort, connection, and the quality of the experience, not the numbers or measurements. Think about it. What good is size if the connection is missing? What good is obsession over physical attributes if the emotional and physical comfort of both partners isn't prioritized? The truth is, focusing excessively on size distracts from the real source of attraction: attentiveness, technique, emotional connection, and presence. Women value skill, consideration, and emotional connection far more than any physical measurement. They remember the man who was present, who listened, who adapted, who created a safe and enjoyable space, not the man who spent the entire time worrying about something he couldn't control. The grandmother explained it perfectly. How you make a woman feel will always outweigh anything else. So here's the takeaway. Instead of fixating on insecurities, focus on what you can control. Focus on building trust, creating comfort, and being attentive to your partner's cues. When you do that, size becomes irrelevant, because what truly matters is the shared experience, the laughter, the connection, and the mutual enjoyment. And that, above all else, leaves the lasting impression. As we continue this journey of understanding attraction, connection, and the deeper truths that so many people overlook, it becomes clearer that what really creates lasting bonds isn't the superficial traits that society constantly emphasizes, but the timeless qualities that speak directly to the heart. When the grandmother of wisdom shared her reflections with me, she wasn't offering quick tricks or shallow advice. She was sharing decades of lived experience, the kind that strips away illusions and reveals what truly matters. And one of her most powerful lessons was this: attraction doesn't fade with age when it's built on confidence, skill, communication, and empathy. These are the qualities that remain magnetic long after youthful appearances shift, and they are the ones that make a man unforgettable in the eyes of a woman. Let's begin with confidence, because it's one of those words that gets thrown around constantly, yet is often misunderstood. Many men confuse confidence with bravado, with trying to act dominant, or with displaying a sense of superiority. But authentic confidence is something entirely different. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. Not because of how much you have or how you look, but because of who you are and how you show up. The grandmother once told me, "A man who knows who he is will always be desired." That struck me because it underscored the truth that real confidence is not about trying to prove yourself. It's about being comfortable in your own skin, knowing your worth, and carrying that inner calm into every interaction. Women are deeply perceptive, and they can immediately sense whether a man is secure within himself or whether he is covering insecurity with a mask of arrogance. When you possess authentic confidence, you don't need to shout it. You project it naturally through your presence, your attentiveness, and the way you make others feel at ease. But confidence alone is not enough. It must be paired with skill. And when I say skill, I don't mean rehearsed techniques or rigid strategies. True skill is about adaptability, attentiveness, and the willingness to learn. The grandmother compared it to a dance. "It doesn't matter if you have 2 left feet," she said. "What matters is whether you can guide your partner with care, respond to her rhythm, and make her feel safe and appreciated in your arms." That metaphor extends perfectly to intimacy and relationships. Skill is not about perfection, it's about responsiveness. It's about reading your partner's signals, asking the right questions, and adjusting in real time. Women remember the men who paid attention, who weren't too proud to ask, and who genuinely wanted to create an experience of joy and comfort rather than focusing solely on themselves. That kind of skill isn't just physical, it's emotional, and it comes from a place of empathy and curiosity, which brings us to perhaps the most transformative element of all: communication. If there is one thing that consistently separates fulfilling, lasting connections from fleeting or disappointing ones, it is the ability to communicate openly, honestly, and compassionately. Too often, couples allow assumptions, silence, or fear of awkwardness to prevent them from having the conversations that would bring them closer. The grandmother put it very simply: pleasure runs deeper when there is conversation. She was right, because no amount of physical technique can replace the simple act of asking your partner what she enjoys, what makes her feel safe, or what she longs for. Communication doesn't have to be formal or heavy. It can be playful, whispered in the right moment, or woven into natural conversation. The key is to make it clear that you care enough to ask and listen. And then, of course, comes empathy, the ability to put yourself in your partner's shoes, to see the world through her eyes, and to prioritize not only your own experience, but hers as well. Empathy transforms intimacy into something sacred because it shifts the focus from performance to connection. When a woman feels truly seen, heard, and understood, attraction deepens into something far richer than physical desire. It becomes trust, safety, and emotional intimacy. And that is what lingers in the memory long after the moment has passed. The grandmother said it best when she told me, "When a man learns to listen with his heart, everything else falls into place." Now, why does all of this matter so much, especially later in life? Because as time passes, what fades is not the need for intimacy or connection, but the illusions that once surrounded it. The superficial measures lose their power, but the desire for respect, care, and emotional resonance becomes stronger. At 50, 60, 70, or beyond, women are not searching for perfection. They are searching for authenticity, for presence, and for a partner who brings warmth, humor, and genuine effort into the relationship. That's why the lessons of self-care, confidence, skill, communication, and empathy are timeless. They are the foundation upon which attraction is built at any stage of life. When I reflect on the grandmother's wisdom, I realize that what she was really teaching me was not just how to attract a woman, but how to live with greater intention. Self-care isn't only about appearance. It's about respecting your body and honoring the vessel that carries you through life. Confidence isn't about arrogance. It's about knowing your value and carrying it with humility. Skill isn't about tricks. It's about showing up with attentiveness and adaptability. Communication isn't about talking endlessly. It's about creating a safe space where honesty and vulnerability can thrive. And empathy isn't about losing yourself. It's about expanding your perspective to include the heart of another. These aren't just lessons for intimacy. They are lessons for a meaningful life. And so, as we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to think about how you can apply these insights starting today. Maybe it begins with something small, like upgrading your personal care routine. Not because anyone demanded it, but because you recognize your own worth. Maybe it's taking the time to check in with your partner, not just about surface-level matters, but about how she truly feels, what she longs for, what excites her, or what comforts her. Maybe it's cultivating the quiet kind of confidence that comes from knowing you don't need to prove yourself, only to be present as your authentic self. These small shifts create ripples that can completely transform how you are perceived, how you feel about yourself, and the depth of connection you create with those you love. The grandmother left me with one final thought that I'll never forget. Attraction, real attraction, is not about what you were given at birth. It's about what you choose to nurture every day. Think about that. You don't need to chase unrealistic ideals or worry about myths that never really mattered. What you need is to nurture yourself, to grow in self-respect, and to offer the same care and attention to the person you love. When you do that, you embody the qualities that endure far beyond fleeting appearances. So, my friend, I want to leave you with both a challenge and an invitation. The challenge is to begin paying closer attention to the details of how you care for yourself and how you connect with others. Don't overlook the small things. They add up to something powerful. The invitation is to continue this journey with me. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to subscribe and join this community where we speak openly, respectfully, and honestly about the things that truly matter. Share this message with someone in your life who might need it. And if you've stayed with me to the end, I want you to leave a comment with the words, "I love wisdom." Because by doing so, you're affirming your commitment to growth, to deeper connection, and to living with greater intention. Remember, the secret is not hidden in size, in wealth, or in fleeting traits. The secret is in self-care, confidence, communication, and empathy. That's what women notice. That's what they admire. That's what they remember. And most importantly, that's what builds a connection that lasts. So start today. Nurture yourself, honor your relationships, and embrace the wisdom that attraction at its core is about respect for yourself and for the one you love. And with that, I want to thank you for being here, for engaging in this journey, and for opening yourself to a perspective that goes beyond the ordinary. Because in the end, the greatest transformations begin with simple truths. And it is those truths that guide us toward deeper love, stronger bonds, and a more fulfilling life. Until next time, take care of yourself, treasure those you love, and never underestimate the power of the little things.